There's been a huge amount of changes in 2021 which has changed the landscape. In this video, I provide a selection of mortgage tips for first-time buyers looking to buy their first home in 2021, taking into account the changes of lender criteria and the difficult property market we're currently in. Let's go. Hi, my name's Alex Kerr. I'm a qualified mortgage broker, and my passion is simplifying the mortgage process for first-time buyers, as well as providing the best tools and tips in regards to credit scoring and money saving. Let's get into the vid. Property market. The type of property market we are in would determine the way you would approach it. Recently, I did a video on how to negotiate an offer. Ideally, in most cases, you'd like to go in at 10 or 20% below the asking price. This would apply to either a buyer's market or a more balanced market between supply and demand. However, we are currently in a seller's market, which means there are more buyers than sellers, meaning the sellers or the vendors can pick and choose their buyer. This also creates bidding wars, which in turn pushes the price up. The stamp duty holiday has also played a large part in creating the current market we're in. Do expect that to balance out once the stamp duty holiday ends. However, until that point, my recommendation would be to present yourself in the best possible light, as you're likely going to have competition. Remember, as a first-time buyer, you have no property chain attached to you, meaning you have no property to sell. This is an advantage. I would also fully recommend being 100% prepared, which means you know your mortgage budget and what price you can go to as a maximum. In a market like this, estate agents have to try and get to the best buyers. As they say, the cream always rises to the top, so make sure that's you. The areas you can strengthen your position would be by showing you are mortgage material, that you've already spoken to a broker or a bank. Maybe you're a key worker, or you're in a line of work that has not been affected by COVID. Anything you can show to the estate agent or seller that confirms you are a solid buyer, I would certainly do that. Make sure you showcase yourself as a buyer ready to go, and you will be much more likely to achieve mortgage success because your line of work is unaffected by the current climate. Whatever you can do to give yourself an edge, make sure you are presenting that. When placing an offer, there is likely going to be buyers going in at the asking price and over. Someone who goes in at the asking price in a solid position will definitely have the edge over a buyer going in a little bit higher, therefore beating your offer, but who cannot evidence a solid position. My advice is not to be pushed into buying the property you do not want through the fear of losing out. Just keep going. The right property will come along, and this current market is more temporary because it's been manufactured. Just make sure you understand your budget. Make sure your first offer gives you room to maneuver upwards. Ideally, have 2, 3 or even 4 offers between your first and last offer. Make sure you do not offer what you can afford as a maximum as your first offer. That is the basic principle of negotiation. The next tip for you is about your current employment situation. Now, more important than ever to understand your position in regards to your current employment and how that will affect a mortgage application. As lenders' criteria has tightened up, especially around employment, there's every chance you may have been made redundant or changed jobs or even changed industry. Your income is one of the most important elements of a mortgage application and will carry the most weight when an underwriter is assessing your situation. If you have had an employment break of more than a month in the last 12 months, and on top of that had a change of career or industry you work in, my advice is to be very careful with the lender you choose, as the majority will look for consistency in your current or new line of work. Personally, I would wait until you have at least 6 months, ideally 12 consistent employment history. The more you can have, the bigger the pool of lenders available to you. The goal when applying for a mortgage is always to have as many options as possible. If you go into a mortgage application and the lender you are applying with is the only lender that will lend to you, this means you have a high chance of being unsuccessful. I know it's difficult, but try and make sure your employment is solid as possible. That might mean waiting a little bit longer, and be sure to be out of any probation, as currently I only know one lender who may be okay with this. If you are self-employed and you've recently taken a grant, pool of lenders available to you will be very small. My advice would be to seek guidance from a mortgage broker, as this is the sort of situation where a mortgage broker will know the lender to use. Is there any mortgage brokers around here? I want to talk to you about your address history. It is so important that all of the credit agencies reflect your address history correctly. You may think you're on the voters roll, but if the credit agencies do not reflect this, as far as the mortgage lender is concerned, you are not on the voters roll. Mortgage lenders rely on your address history being accurate on your credit file in order to pull in credit profile when conducting an agreement in principle. Make sure your voters roll records are correct on Experian, Equifax and Transunion. If you want a really easy way and a free way to find out without needing to get individual files, just download a Check My File credit report and you'll find your credit file from these three agencies will be on one file. Scroll down to the bottom where you will see the details of your voters roll registrations. If you do not see your current address beneath the individual credit agency's record, then they are not aware that you are on the voters roll. Be sure to contact them directly and get this updated. Best way to do this is by using the contact forms on their website. I've listed the links in the descriptions below, along with the link to download your Check My File credit report. Also worth noting that having your bank account registered to the correct address will also help with keeping an accurate address history. Maybe you can't vote. If this is the case, make sure your bank account is registered to the correct address. You may have your bank statements go to your parents' house, and maybe you haven't updated your address with your bank. If this is the case, I would advise against doing this. Make sure your address records for your banks and any credit commitments are correct, as mortgage lenders will rely on this data to pull in your credit profile. And like I mentioned before, this needs to be reflected on all the credit agencies, as different lenders use different credit agencies. One may use Experian, another may use Equifax, and others TransUnion. Therefore, it's vital to have all three agencies having corresponding data. Checking your credit files will also give you an opportunity to make sure everything else is correct. The last thing you want is to discover a default or a missed payment that you didn't know about and wasn't your fault. This will also give you an opportunity to put right those errors. So this is a bit of a different one. I've not spoken about this before, but many of my clients have benefited from this knowledge, if you like. Your mortgage lender or mortgage advisor may come to you and say, we've assessed your situation and unfortunately cannot lend you the full loan amount. What you are looking to borrow has been reduced by £10,000, £15,000, maybe more. First of all, don't panic. There are ways with a lot of lenders, but not all of them, on increasing your loan amount. For example, some lenders will lend more if you take a 5-year fixed rate with them, or if you choose a product which may enable you to borrow more. That lender will know those products. That would be the first question you would put to the lender. Secondly, sometimes increasing the mortgage term can have a positive effect on the loan amount, as increasing your mortgage term means lower monthly payments, which means your affordability is better on a higher loan amount. A lot of lenders will allow a term up to 40 years. Combine this with a 5-year or more fixed rate, and this could solve your problem. Finally, don't rule out any other income such as child benefit, tax credits, universal credits. A lot of lenders will take this into account, and I've known situations where this income hasn't been disclosed. If you have any other income, whatever that may be, PIP, personal independence payment, just check with the lender that they will take this, and it could well save your deal. This also works against you on the flip side if you have had any deductions such as student loans, maybe you pay maintenance or have childcare costs. Elements like this will likely reduce your loan amount, so if it's not disclosed from outset, could cause you problems later on down the line. Make sure you disclose everything is my advice. My last tip, be mortgage ready. Preparation is always the best way to give yourself the maximum chance of success. Approach buying property patiently. Don't get sucked in by properties you love before you've looked at your mortgage. Make sure you have all your documents from the outset. If your passport is in the post, just wait until it comes back. I know properties come and go quickly, but you need to be ready and prepared properly before you start looking for them. Most of the time we get a lot of inquiries asking for urgent help. Someone's put an offer in which has been accepted, but they do not have a clue on how much they can borrow. Often we will turn away these type of inquiries as they would hinder our current clients who are going through the process properly. Our success rate of mortgage applications for clients we take on is around 95%. This is because our process has been constructed over many years, specialising for first-time buyers, taking you through each step, making sure no stone is left unturned. And going through the order correctly from the start will help you achieve mortgage success. Anything anything which needs to be fixed gets sorted prior to a mortgage application. However, due to huge demand and many questions asking for some type of service, if you're in this position, we do now offer a fast track service which offers appointments out of hours. This is £49 and will ensure anyone who requires urgent assistance can be provided with an appointment within 48 hours. Therefore, will not cause any disruption to our current processes. The link's in the description. When booking into our calendar, just choose a fast track service. This can also be used if you're not a client of ours and you just want an hour of our time. Maybe your current mortgage application, you have problems, you need advice, whatever it is, just choose the fast track option. Today's question: have you ever had your loan amount reduced as part of a mortgage application? Let me know in the comments. Do need to let you know that your home may be repossessed if you do not keep up with repayments on your mortgage. So thanks for watching today's video. I hope it's provided you with some useful tips that will provide you with value. Please check out the show notes for a recap on today's video with access to any links discussed today. Please do consider subscribing and ringing the bell to receive further notifications when we release our videos. Please follow me on Instagram at alexkerrmortgage for behind the scenes, daily tips and new services which will be coming, such as Instagram lives with first time buyers who have questions. I've been Alex Kerr, providing the best tools and tips to first time buyers. Till next time, stay safe, take care of each other, and we'll see you next time.